So at this point, most of you probably know that the shadow attack on the new composite sword is useless. So in this video, I'm going to suggest a fix for this shadow attack so it is a bit more usable and you don't have to face this. Yeah, let's get started and let's fix the shadow attack on the new composite sword. So first, let me explain the problems with this shadow attack so we can later talk about the fix. So the first problem with this shadow attack is that it is slow and it is really close range. It is so slow in fact that you actually have to use some other shadow attack to first bind the enemy and stop them from moving for the shadow attack to even work. So without this, you will almost always 99% of the time get interrupted by the enemy if you try to do the shadow attack. So this sort of creates a problem with the composite sword that you have to build a shadow attack combo around the shadow attack of the composite sword. So the most efficient set that I have found to work with this shadow attack, the composite sword shadow attack, is a helmet, which could be of any faction, doesn't really matter. The armor is going to be the important part and it has to be a rare Herald's armor because of the teleport. And of course the ranged weapon is either the legendary throwing knives or the legendary plume.
What?
I'm just gonna call it that, alright? I'm pretty sure it's the wrong pronunciation.
Pylum. Okay.
And how this combo works is that you use the ranged weapon shadow attack first, then follow it up by a teleport right in the enemy's face and then do the shadow attack of the composite sword. And this works really well. But the problem is that you have to build the shadow attack around the shadow attack of this composite sword. Okay, hold up. While recording this video, I did realize that you can pull this off with just the ranged weapons, so you can use legendary or epic armor. That still doesn't mean that the shadow attack on the composite sword is any better or worse. Let's continue. The second problem is the knockback on the shadow attack. Now, before I explain what I mean by that, let me show you the shadow attack again. Alright, here we go. And notice something? It has 3 hits. But if you used the shadow attack before, you may have noticed that the second hit almost never hits the enemy unless you're really close to the enemy and the enemy is backed up by the wall. The first hit of the shadow attacks knocks the enemy in such a way that the second hit and sometimes even the third hit doesn't even hit the enemy. Now the third hit is a bit tricky. It depends if the enemy attacks you or not. So if the enemy actually attacks you after getting hit by the first one, which in some situations they will, the third hit of the shadow attack, which expands the sword, will hit them. But if they don't attack you, it doesn't really hit them. So yeah. So now let me just suggest the fix for the shadow attack. And the solution is make it uninterruptible or unbreakable. Both are the same thing. There we go, problem solved. But let me explain how this is going to solve the problem. So some shadow attacks like World Slicer shadow attack and the Electromine shadow attack on the Stranger set and the Big Bird shadow attack, yeah, that's basically what I'm gonna call it right now, on the Steppe Prince set can't be interrupted. So the World Slicer and Electromine shadow attack on the Stranger set makes your character unbreakable, which means they can still take damage but they can't be interrupted. The Big Bird shadow attack on the Steppe Prince set works a bit differently in the sense that it just makes your character disappear so they can't get hit. There are ways to dodge all of the shadow attacks, but they can't be interrupted. So I suggest the same for Blazing Logic's shadow attack as well. So because of this, you can get close to the enemy and do a successful shadow attack from the composite sword without getting interrupted. So now that fixes part 1 of the problem. Part 2 is of course the knockback. Now there are a couple of ways that of course the game developers can fix this shadow attack. One of them is to just simply get rid of the second hit on the shadow attack because that is the one that doesn't hit the enemy. But then again, the third hit has problems as well, which needs the enemy to attack you after getting hit by the first hit, which doesn't happen all the time. So this solution is not exactly foolproof. The second solution is of course to just adjust the shadow attack in such a way that the enemy does not get pushed back so much that you end up missing all the hits. This is something that the game developers have to do and I don't really want to get too detailed about this because as players we can do much. I hope that this in some way reaches the developers because, well, they are the only ones that can fix this. So comment down below, what do you think about this video? Do you agree with the ways that I suggested to fix the shadow tag, or do you have a idea of your own? Maybe a different shadow tag or some other ways to fix the shadow tag. Comment down below. And with that, latest videos are on the screen, check them out, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.